I now call on Deputy Richard Boyd Barrett. I understand, Deputy, that you're sharing your time with Deputies Coppinger, Murphy, Healy, Ross, Daly, Halligan and Fleming. Is this agreed?
Agreed.
You have approximately 3 to 4 minutes each.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised, but I was completely nauseated by the prime time special on corruption, to see a Fianna Fáil, a Fine Gael councillor and a pro-business independent involved in the sort of grubby corruption, there's no other word for it, that they were attempting to engage in, was really quite stunning. I think it's worth remembering what the cost of this is for our society. It is this kind of behaviour that contributed very, very significantly to the economic collapse in this country, because of the fact that the political system, or much of the political system, was held hostage by the interests of developers who directly or indirectly had captured the political system, and the interests of society as a whole, or ordinary citizens, went out the window in the grubby drive for profit, and assisted by politicians who were essentially in the pockets of developers and banks and so on, who were seeking to profit to the absolute maximum. And certainly the Moriarty, the Mahon Tribunal, shall I say, in the reports and commentary, suggested that there were many councillors around these development plans and the corruption that was going on around it that were screaming foul, but were told to shut up whenever they got up, and made accusations that they had been approached by developers or that they believed corruption was going on. That the overwhelming body politic, if you like, certainly at a local level, just didn't want to talk about it and wanted to hush up. So I don't know how many people were involved, but I certainly think it was widespread, and there was a widespread tolerance of it. We had a little instance of this in Laoghaire Rathdown in the last year, where one of our own councillors was approached by a developer who was trying to get a rezoning for a development he was trying to push through. It was in the balance in the council. We don't know how many other councillors he approached, but what we do know is when he got rebuffed in our office, not getting any commitments on the rezoning, he made an offer to pay the election expenses of one of our councillors, who then went into the council chamber and stated this publicly in the council chamber, at which point there was pandemonium with all the usual suspects of the main parties, particularly Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, saying you can't say that, you're not allowed to say that. Laoghaire Rathdown County Council, subsequent to that, took down the footage of the meeting where the allegation was made. So this is the sort of stuff that is still going on. In a little aside, when I was doing the county development plan in Laoghaire Rathdown, when I was still a councillor, when there was a whole series of dodgy rezonings proposed that were clearly in the interests of big private developers, for shopping centres, for land rezonings or whatever, and you couldn't get your head around how anybody would support these things, and yet there were people in the council chambers supporting them. One Labour councillor said to me in a little aside, he said, "This is how they'll get their election expenses paid." Interesting comment. Exactly the same as was said to our councillor by this developer. So this is the stuff that is going on. It is absolutely rank. And the last point, what have I got, a minute left, is it? The last point I want to make is, but you see, this isn't just going on at council level. We've 5 minutes now, apparently, sorry. 4 minutes gone, yeah. But when Deputy Toomey said that that's different at council level, or officials doing procurement, but not really in the Dáil, I don't accept that at all. The fish always rots from the head. And I'll give you 2 examples of where there is no will whatsoever at the highest level to go after corruption. the tax evasion and aggressive tax avoidance of the big multinational corporations, which everybody has known about for the last few years. No action from the mainstream parties to do anything about it, and every reason to believe they actively facilitated the same tax evasion. Similarly, in the whole abuse of bogus self-employment and the RCT system on the construction sector, which some of us have been shouting about for years, saying it simply stretches any credibility that 3/4 of all building workers on building sites are self-employed contractors, and yet still the government claims there isn't a problem. Nothing is done about it because, of course, it benefits the state to have these workers exploited like that, because they get cheap schools built or cheap housing built. The fish rots from the head, and we need serious action to deal with that corruption.
Thank you.